One of the issues that I have tried to bring to the public's attention, particularly the Marxist community, was the actions of the Kurds. Now, when they first began allying themselves with the United States, mostly it was just us third worldists, myself, the LLCO, were saying, okay, look, here's a U.S. airbase on Kurdish land. They're helping U.S. imperialism, and this is wrong. And we were met with a great deal of backlash, calling us wrong and all kinds of, terrible names. And as time has gone by, people have begun to see that what we were saying was true this entire time. The Kurds have, in a sense, sold their soul to the U.S. empire. And I think that's a good way of putting it. Now, consider this. There's a lot the Kurds are accused of doing. They're accused of carrying out ethnic cleansing inside the country, essentially forcefully evicting Arabs off their land, out of their homes, so that they can be taken over by Kurdish people, because they have a perceived right, not unlike Israel, to just simply take people like that. And that's one of the criticisms that I and other people have leveled towards them, and even people who were not third worldists. They also have started to realize what was going on, and that this kind of ethnic cleansing is being carried out with the power and the support of the United States government and military. I mean, we know what this is really about. This is about balkanizing Syria, now that it's very clear that the Assad government is going to win, and that the entire U.S. operation to destroy the country, to take it over and have it overthrown, has failed. It's only a matter of time until the last of the Wahhabists are defeated, and the last of the Islamic State, etc. They're going to lose. The U.S.-backed forces, the Israel and Saudi Arabian-backed forces are all going to lose eventually. The real question is going to come when the Syrian government reaches the lands that are now occupied by the Kurds. Now, a lot of people were very, very defensive of that because they were acting very uncritically. They were not thinking or analyzing the situation before they angrily reacted, because they believe the Kurds were communists, and some people believe they're anarchists, when really they're nothing of the sort. At best, they're social democrats. At worst, they're Israel 2.0. Here's something a little bit more that speaks to what the Kurds are actually doing inside of Syria. There have been documents leaked from the Kurdish authorities that were published by Al Akbar newspaper that showed Ilham Imad, the co-head of the Syrian Democratic Council, or the Kurdish Contras, appointed an Israeli Mossad operative, Mordecai Kana, as the sole person who is authorized to sell the oil that will be taken out of the ground in Syria under Kurdish occupation and then sent out to the international market. Now, the ties between Israel and the Kurds is something that has been very strong since the attempt to destabilize Syria. They weren't so much there before. I don't see much evidence of any collaboration between the Kurds and Israel before the Syrian conflict began. But that has been there, and that's always a part of being in league with the U.S. military, is that you end up a asset of Israel as well. And what do we see here? The Kurds, who are fighting for autonomy, have handed over the oil that they've stolen from the Syrian people into the hands of essentially Israel, an Israeli intelligence officer. And I know a lot of people are of the people who even know this is going on, are very angrily denouncing this. Not even denouncing it because it's wrong, but denouncing it because they don't like the fact that it's happening. Oh, well, the Kurds are victims. They're, ... as if somehow this justifies allying with one of the worst countries in the entire world, one of the most brutal, hateful, genocidal regimes that currently exists in the world today, that being Israel. And it's very much like we told you so kind of situation. Because now we have essentially the Kurds looting Syria for what's going to end up being the benefit of Israel. Think about that. Israel controls where the Kurds are going to be able to, who the Kurds are going to be able to sell their oil to. Already as it is, Israel dictates basically everything in Palestine. Like, who's allowed to have a house, because they can demolish them whenever they want, and nobody can say anything about it. Well, they could say something about it, but they can't do anything about it. Israelis can murder Palestinians with impunity. They can block food and medicine from coming into the country. Now think about that kind of control being done with the holier-than-thou Kurds. Of course, it's going to be a little bit different, with the Kurds being the allies of Israel. Now think about what's going to happen as a result of this. Eventually, this is all going to come to a head. There is going to be a day of reckoning between the Syrian government and the Kurds. And it's not going to be pretty. Syria is going to want its land back. The land that it rightfully owns back. And the Kurds will be crying to the United States for protection. And the United States will be slaughtering Syrians in the name of Kurdish independence. The fact is, Syria was one of the best countries in the world for non-Muslims. Essentially, if you were Muslim, Christian, Jewish, even Kurdish, things were pretty much okay. There wasn't much in terms of discrimination. Of course, there's discrimination in every country. I'm not saying that there isn't. It's pretty good. Second only to Iran. Yes, I realize that I frequently do television spots for Iran, but the fact is Jews, Christians, etc. are treated very well inside of Iran, and I can point you to Jewish people who live there who say, yeah, it's just fine, there isn't a problem. In fact, there are Jews that hold very powerful positions in public and private life inside of Iran. And if I was Jewish and I had to be in a Middle Eastern country, I would choose Iran in that case. I might choose Syria, but, you know, it's kind of on fire and being bombed, so you know what I mean. But this is going to turn ugly. Because of what the Kurds have done, allying with the United States and allying with the longtime Syrian enemy of Israel, things are going to get heated. And you're going to see a lot of Syrians as a result of this, which a lot of them are probably going to see as betrayal, getting very, very upset about this, and are going to want a measure of revenge on the Kurds for it. And that's not going to be pretty. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying this is what's going to happen, whether we like it or not. And part of this is on the head of the Kurds for allying with the United States, which is even made all the more strange by the fact that you can't trust the United States. You can't trust them, and trusting them in the past is blown up in their face. Why would the Kurds think that they could trust them now? And that's a very... It's a very dangerous thing to do. So what we have to look forward to, or to be wary of, is the coming conflict between the Syrian government and the U.S. and his Israeli-owned Kurds inside the country. And that land does belong to the Syrian government. The resources on that land belong to the Syrian people. And that's going to be the conflict right there over the amount of oil that's in the ground. I mean, if we've seen one thing that's caused conflicts in the last century or so, It's been energy resources. That plays in a massive hand in literally everything, because nothing happens without the energy to move it, or manufacture it, or ship it, or consume it, etc. And we're going to see a continuation of that. And what's the underlying cause of all of this? The fact that this energy resource, all resources, are distributed according to market demand, to people's profit motives, not towards need. And there is going to be that eternal conflict over energy resources simply because of that. And yes, I am saying capitalism is the problem here. But what I'm also doing is warning about the very terrible situation that's coming in the future, in what's going to be the standoff between the Syrian government and the Israeli and US-backed Kurds. And very probably, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to die as a result.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.